It's a third line day. And third line day is when we're looking at things like gate 59. It can bring a relief to one's experience, to know this information, to learn about the mechanic that drives us, to learn that it's not personal. And if we take it personally, then we're missing the point in a way. The 59.3 is called openness. So when we get to the third line, we get to the line of bonds made and broken. And this is where the third line description of bonds made and broken comes from. So many people misunderstand this really because they put a lot of attention on the broken bit instead of the made. But bonds made and broken is a genetic strategy to be very open, to achieve union, and then to close up. That's all. You know, that's the way bonds made and broken works. The kind of bonds made and broken, it can work at many different levels. You know, the couple who work apart all day and then come together in the evening, for example, or the couple who live in different cities and come together at weekends. The thing to understand about this line is that it's a genetic imperative that says we're going to have this moment, after which the bond may be broken for a while, and it may never be re-established. For people who are unaware of the mechanic, this can feel absolutely devastating. The exaltation, where the search for identity and security can only be achieved through the dropping of barriers in order to define oneself through union, where one is empowered through union and intimacy with others. These are people who must have intimacy, but that doesn't mean for a moment that any of those intimacies are going to last consistently. And please note that word consistently. The 59.3 operates at its best when it has an intimacy that can stop being an intimacy and then resume being an intimacy at a later time. And under these conditions, the intimacy can last a lifetime. And though the bonds are continually broken, they are continually remade. A lot of people assume that once a bond is broken, that's it. It can be made again, but never with the same person. And while this might be true some of the time, it's not true most of the time. Whatever goes wrong, definite inverted commas around that, whatever goes wrong in the third line process, you can always start again. You don't have to completely abandon what didn't work, what bond was broken. It's just broken for now. The detriment says where openness is transformed into promiscuity and its attendant problems, where the drive for empowerment through union and intimacy can lead to promiscuity. The 59.3 is not transpersonal. It doesn't know what's at the other end. It's just offering itself for intimacy. And in that, it's trying to find an intimacy that will work for it. But it doesn't know much about the other. If you want to talk to somebody about human beings and their sexual proclivities, talk to a 59.3. They are going to find out all about it because they're going to keep on bouncing into all these different kinds of expressions of sexuality, because this is the trial and error process. Does this work? Does this work? Does this work? All the time. It's part of their process. So many 59.3s have difficulty maintaining relationships until they understand that they need their space, you know, which means that they need to break the bond every now and then. So the working couple who don't see each other for most of the day, but they come together in the evening and spend conscious time together, maybe 2 or 3 hours every night or at the weekend. That's great for a 59.3. You know, you can come together in your intimacy, you can break the bond, you can have your process, and then you come back together, you make that bond again, and then it works. And if you're doing it consciously and correctly, wow, What an amazing thing that would be. What a celebration of intimacy that could lead to. Of course, you have to be free to make that bond. And that's another story, because that relies, of course, on the understanding of the mechanic of your partner, or from your partner, with your partner. But when it works, beautiful. The grounding comes from the 55-3, which is called innocence. In some ways, it occurred to me really when I was sitting with this, there is an innocence to anyone who is operating according to their strategy and authority, because there's no mind involved in the decisions. Whether the bond is made or broken, it's down to our own nature. It's down to what is correct for us, whether that's our genetic strategy or our overall strategy and authority. But it's not getting involved with the mind story or with our conditioning. And there is a certain innocence that comes with that. Oh, there's a certain quality of lightness that can come when you are just being the passenger and you're just in your world, just expressing and experiencing. And the moon is still in gate 27. That's the sacral gate of caring. It moves into gate 24 at 1344, and this is the return. It's an individual gate of rationalization, the natural thinker who is bound to return to an insight over and over again, to contemplate it until a concept is clear. And that concept then has the potential to impact others. The process is not based on experience or on substantiating any facts. Those are the two things on either side. When you look at the collective logic or the collective abstract, this is the thing in the middle. This is the uniqueness of transformation based on individual knowing. Gate 2 is the next. So we are staying with individuality, but this time we're in the G center, and this is at 2314. This is the seat of the driver, the magnetic monopole. It's a gate called the receptive, and it's the direction of the self. People with this gate can have an innate sense of direction or not, but if they have it, it will be independent of their mind, independent of their will. It will guide them towards beauty and love as part of the bigger unfolding. When the direction is in alignment with one's path, then this process becomes an example for the collective, an example of an evolutionary trajectory, bringing necessary change with it. And then finally, another individual gate, gate 23. This is the throat center gate, 8:49 tomorrow morning. It's called Splitting Apart, the gate of assimilation. So as with all individuality, the timing must be right in order for this gate to make a difference. Now, it can be impactive, although it's a projector gate and it's not a manifestor gate, so maybe being impactive isn't quite the right word, but with the right timing, with the right language, and through recognition and invitation, this gate can cut through homogenized concepts and bring something new and unique into our experience. So that's the 59.3. Thank you very much for joining me. Yeah, I will see you tomorrow for the 59.4. Until then, enjoy this gate of sexuality and everything that it brings. Yeah, I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.